Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back. We are on the couch with it again. This week, I'm super excited to continue our new series, Selfology, the study of yourself. And this week, we are getting into self-love, y'all. And so, of course, just like last week, we defined self-awareness and we talked about how you have to kind of learn about who you are, what you actually like, and just spending some time to yourself to kind of figure those things out and help build your self-awareness. And so now we're talking about self-love, which by definition, self-love is regard for one's own well-being and happiness. And so that's basically what it says. And so I feel like self-love is like a catalyst for everything else to follow suit. So for self-confidence, self-esteem, all of that kind of flows from the root of self-love, because it's like until you truly and authentically love yourself for who you are, raw, uncut, at your core, you'll never be able to fully stand in self-confidence and have a solid self-esteem until you really learn to love yourself authentically. And what that means in all aspects, loving who you are as a person, your intrinsic characteristics, which basically means like those characteristics about yourself and your personality, as well as your physical attributes, like loving yourself. I love myself, acne, blemishes, crusty toes, crusty lips, hairy armpits, the whole nine, like literally loving yourself completely, authentically, raw, uncut version of you, like the version of you that no one sees, like loving every bit of yourself. And so for this series, self-love is going to be the core of selfology, the core of the study of yourself, just loving yourself. So last week we spoke on self-awareness, like I said, and I started with self-awareness because I feel like before anything else, before you can love a thing, you must know a thing. And so once we get focused on getting to know yourself, and then from there you can pinpoint those different qualities that you like and dislike about yourself. So that's kind of what we touched on last week, and just kind of connecting self-awareness to self-love. Once you identify the qualities that you like and dislike, for the qualities that you dislike, you have to learn to love them, or even better, work to improve them or remove them. And what I mean by that is like doing whatever is necessary to become a better you. And so like I mentioned last week, stubbornness was a quality that I have. I still have it. But what I learned after acknowledging that I had that quality, it's not a quality that I particularly liked in myself. And so that was something that I worked on to improve it. Because some stuff you can't remove it because it's a part of who you are, or it's just something that you might have inherited generationally, whether it be physical, like just all kind of different things. For me, you have three options. If it's a quality about yourself you don't like, you can learn to love it, you can improve it, or you can remove it. And that kind of goes for all things, whether it be mental, physical, spiritual, all of that. A good example, back in the day, it really wasn't my decision at the time. It was my parents' decision. But back in the day, like I had a gap, my teeth were crooked, and those were things that even if I were older to make the decision on my own, like were things that I wanted to improve, or things that I didn't like about myself. Like I disliked the crookedness of my teeth, and that's okay. That's something that I acknowledge about myself. And so I could learn to love it, learn to love the smile that I have, improve or remove. And so what I did was improve them by getting braces. As you can see, I have not worn my retainers, and I didn't wear my retainers like I should have. So my teeth are a little bit crooked now. And at this point, I'm learning to love them. So sometimes it can be a reoccurring cycle where it might be something that you choose to improve early on in life, and then you might learn to love it later on in life, or you choose to love it earlier in life, and then as you get older or something, you might be like, I always wanted to, do this or do that, because I never really liked this or that. and then you improve it. And so those are just different examples of how you can learn to love, improve, or remove things that you dislike about yourself. And then for the things that you do like about yourself, you learn to love them even more. And so just really falling in love with yourself wholeheartedly. And so this week's episode, again, is all about self-love. I know it's a shorter episode, but it really just stems from really having that self-awareness and knowing like who you are at the core, knowing what you like, and then from there, doing something about it, learning to love it, improving it, or removing it. And even if you improve or remove it, you still have to learn to love it, whatever it may be. So you might get braces and then you be like, dang, I missed my gap. So now you got to learn to love your straight smile without your gap, So that's just something to kind of take with you. Self-love is so important. It's like literally, I want to say the number one thing, but I mean, all of these things go hand in hand to play into the study of yourself and improving yourself as an individual. So I definitely think self-love, y'all, is so important. Learning to love yourself. Like before you do anything else, you have to learn to love yourself. And by doing that, you have to know it. So to know a thing is the only way you can love a thing. You can't say you love lemons and you never been into a lemon before, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't know anything about lemons. Like, you got to know a thing before you can love a thing. So learn to know yourself and self-awareness like we talked about last week. And then from there, work on your self-love. And you can also pray about it and talk to God about it. And you can learn your self-love through the love that He has for you. And so reading your Bible, that's something I need to do better on. I'm aware that I need to do better with reading my Bible and praying about all things and not just certain things here and there. But that's just a few tips that I have as far as improving your self-love and learning to love yourself, because the study of yourself, the study of your wealth, the study of your health, I'm feeling myself. At the end of the series, I need y'all to be feeling yourselves, you feel me? So the study of yourself, I'm super excited to continue the Selfology series. Next week, we are diving into self-esteem. So I hope this episode today helped you guys, and you guys are learning to know more about yourself, not only learning to know more about yourself, but also learning to love yourself, learning to improve, remove, or love even more all the aspects of yourself. And so hopefully this episode helped you guys. Make sure y'all are subscribed on our YouTube channel if you're listening via podcast. And if you're watching via YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can stream a podcast. We are there at Uncut Gems with Slim. Make sure y'all go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Slim Reshae as well. I love y'all so very much. I love y'all. And side tangent, I say I love y'all because I really do. But until y'all love yourself, you'll never be able to truly, authentically, and fully, unconditionally love somebody else. So start with self-awareness, self-love. That's the root of it all. Once you learn to love yourself, see everything else follow suit. That's all I got. I love y'all so very much. And until next week. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and feel free to connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Slim Reshae. That's SlimReshae. Links will be listed in the show notes. And until next time, love yourself and be beautiful. When you need to find your purpose, come this way. Uncut Gems.